Any kind of opening remarks you'd like to make about how cool my podcasting skills are, or?
No, they're great. Yeah, I like it. It's cool. It's somebody read by it. It's always cool hearing things and being reminded of things that you have done in the past. Because creating, it's always like next, or like deadline. And one of the things back to the clubs, I mean, it's great because you get to go back and enjoy it and everything. But like if it's a canvas,
would you kind of describe yourself as maybe on the ADD spectrum a little bit? Like maybe
am I jumping all over?
No, but I do these things, and you kind of mentioned you're gravitated to these certain artistic things. I really like the zebra shoes, man.
Thank you, man.
You always have the creative outside.
Yeah, you try to get something a little bit more wild, and
you're a man of texture. I can tell.
Texture's nice.
Well, welcome to the podcast, to you and to those listening, where we explore the journeys of extraordinary individuals who have unlocked their creative potential and in turn found success and fulfillment beyond the norm. I'm your host, Brennan Bolt, and today, again, we have a very special guest for you. Should I call you Travis or should I call you not Travis?
For the intro, not Travis is good, but then Travis in general for sure.
There we go.
Yeah.
When did you adopt the not?
The not kind of came about. I mean, well, starting off kind of painting you. I mean, I've started off kind of the people that I looked up to were still kind of like the street art and that whole thing. People had names that were their name, but weren't their name really. But I originally started off going by like Travis Hayes. My name's Travis Hayes McCann, and growing up had my uncle passed away in 91, but had all of his old books in my closet, and he signed it T Hayes. So just everywhere, everything was T Hayes, and so that worked out with my initial or my name. So I just started going by Travis Hayes and signing things T Hayes, and I had a show in Dallas over in Bishop Arts. I forget which project they were launching, but a big development there. And mother couldn't make it. My father came up, and everything's labeled like Travis Hayes. And he's like, "What happened to the McCann?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." Because it's his last name. And I'm like, all right, we're going to think a little bit harder on this. And so I thought really hard, just added the not dot in front of my name. I like contradiction a lot, and then that putting that in front makes people think about it a little bit further. They're more likely to remember the name.
Can confirm.
And
that stuck out for me.
Well, is it Travis? Is it not Travis? And then with the not dot, like I copywrote that, so now the not dot can be applied to anything.
The not
and
dot.
then that's covered. So
I love it.
Like if I do a collaboration with whoever, I did one with Coach, and I wrote not dot coach on things. So
I love that. Super creative, and you well thought out. You're opening yourselves to all future collaborations that are protected, and it still has that essence of you in there.
Yeah, and it kind of also where the not came up. It was like I was also still new into the painting process and creativity, and people recognizing me as an artist and everything, and it was still me, but it was like the way I view the not dot, it's like that putting my own personal touch on it or spin on it. Like my name was Travis, but then now I was able to do or starting to do something that I never imagined like 5 years prior that I was going to be doing.
Yeah. And
then so it's like me, but it's still not me. It was like still kind of new and everything. So it's kind of also where it came from. So
yeah, and now it's very easy to find not Travis written all over any venue, club, bar I walk into.
We like our clubs and bars.
It's like everybody, as soon as they realize, okay, we're going through this, we're opening a bar. We got to get not Travis in here to spray paint a wall or something. Yeah. I see that everywhere.
It definitely worked. I've definitely been. That's also one of the reasons that. Not reasons that I got into art, but that has helped me succeed was the people that I had known and have known, and the good friends that I've made along the way, like yourself, and knew these people before they even opened bars and things. But so they've all been a great help as well, and help push me further, adapting to they all have their ideas that they want their baby to look like, and then I know, or I have an idea of how I want my art to look like, or the things that I want to do or just don't want to do. And so, but that whole process of going through that, what works, what doesn't work, and the marriage of the two ideas and concepts is something that I love.
Absolutely. I definitely want to cover some stuff about, your process today. That's something that definitely intrigues me. I bet it intrigues a lot of listeners. Just covering like what we were talking about there, your support group is massive. So many people want a piece of Not Travis and whatever they're building, whatever the project may be. And I think that's one of the biggest parts about being a successful creator. Like probably at first when you start out, people don't know what you're doing, but how do we build into that huge support system? So that's probably something I'd like to go over as well. But first, just for the audience, I think it's fair that we give a little bit about your bio. Something I like to run through, so they get a good grasp of just how awesome you are as a person and just what's out there. What a little bit of your story is. We'll go through that. But just for everyone listening, Travis McCann, also known as not.travis.
Yeah, not Travis.
Not Travis. Is a Dallas-based contemporary artist, philanthropist, and creative visionary, I claim, who has pioneered a one-of-a-kind brand and name for himself in the art world by curating innovative and bold works of art. He uses unconventional techniques to create abstract paintings, street art, murals, sculptures, fashion wear, digital content, etc. And combines photography, editing with his signature elements of acrylics, spray, paint, neon lights, and metallics to deliver trend-setting installations of vibrant color palettes that are recognizably him. Uncomfortable in his norm, as he continually pushes the boundaries of modern art, aspiring always to go bigger and more experiential with each new artistic endeavor. Not Travis is the co-founder and creator of one of Texas's most immersive art exhibits, one of Texas' most successful immersive art exhibits, and his highly sought works of art have been featured in countless exclusive shows and galleries across the U.S., including one of my favorites, Miami Art Basel.
Oh yeah.
Not Travis is currently developing his fourth immersive art exhibit, Gallery DeFi in Dallas, which I'm super excited for.
Likewise.
I've had the privilege of kind of monitoring and maybe even help push the progress of this endeavor since 2021. It's
a process.
I've been continually impressed every step of the way, just seeing how you guys operate and work to, push this. Lastly, Not Travis is also an advocate for numerous charitable foundations, such as the Sadie Keller Foundation and Dallas Art for Advocacy, amongst others. And serves as an ambassador for the Beauty for Freedom, where he helps curate art fundraisers and has taught art therapy classes to survivors and at-risk youth of child slavery in both Ghana and Dallas, Texas. A whole list of terrific things. A solid foundation for any brand is to be somewhere between creative and philanthropic, and I think you encapsulate that very well just with what you've done.
Thank you.
Any kind of opening remarks you'd like to make about how cool my podcasting skills are, or?
No, they're great. Yeah, I like it. It's cool. It's as somebody read about it, it's always cool hearing things and being reminded of things that you have done in the past. Because creating, it's always like next, or like deadline. And one of the things back to the clubs, I mean, it's great because you get to go back and enjoy it and everything. But like if it's a canvas, you're like paint it quick and then all of a sudden it's gone or something.
Yeah.
If it's a commission or
it's good to have a portfolio to kind of revisit.
Exactly.
To remind you how far you've come, all the cool stuff you've conquered. Can you kind of tell us a bit about your early life and what initially sparked your interest in your field?
Grew up here in Dallas, Colleyville Grapevine. Grew up in Colleyville, went to Grapevine High School. As far as like the creative part, in 6th grade, signed up for photojournalism.
Because there was a hot girl in that class that you wanted to sit next to.
Well, I'm sure there were, but I don't remember them.
Yeah.
I definitely remember the teacher, Miss Rose, and then, but that got the photography. And remember there being this like one challenge. She was like, "We want this. We need a cheerleader doing a backflip or something." So like, I was like, "Okay, I want to like find that, get that. And I mean, this is before digital cameras and everything was filmed, so you had to have the right type of film, the right set the shutter speed right, aperture, everything. And then I ended up getting that picture for the yearbook.
Wow, okay.
But that just kind of got me into photography. I got that first camera, and I would take it on family trips and everything. And one of my first pictures I was ever proud of was we were in Lake Tahoe, and there was this, I think a northern blue jay or eastern blue jay. It's like a blue jay's like we know here in Dallas, except it's got a black head. And it was going into back when the 3D Doritos were in their heyday. It was reaching its head into the Doritos bag and grabbing it, and I like snapped it perfect. It was like blue, black, the bird, and the package was blue and black also. And I just loved that picture. Loved it. And I guess kind of sparked it. And then
There's the snowball effect from there.
yeah. And then also, like I had that, but then I was also always playing sports. And that the creative part was always just kind of something fun, at least in middle school and high school. It didn't exist at all. But growing up, like my father and brother had a recording studio in the house. Like my father plays guitar, and then my brother got that. I had a guitar. I could play some things, but didn't really care too much about it. But just seeing them create something, anything. Like my brother was always in a band. Didn't matter if they were good or not, which they were up to it. I don't remember any of their songs and stuff, but they were doing it and having fun. And I just always thought that creating something, anything, was the coolest thing. But I never envisioned me really having it. Like getting that camera or whatever. I didn't really view that as that outlet of creativity or anything back then. But it was always not something that I envied, but just something that I just kind of wanted and loved to see other people kind of doing and creating and being in that moment. And
appreciating each other's creativeness.
Exactly. And having like we're just creating things. I loved it. And, but not whether in my time, it was just music, and that's what I was associating creativity with. And so thought it was just something I don't have or whatever. But later on, I mean, everybody's creative. Everybody's an artist. It's the way you communicate with somebody is an art. The way you explain and convince somebody that this Excel spreadsheet there's a lot of things that are art that people don't realize are art. So
I concur completely. So you were in this environment that was, promoting art. You found this tool, which was your camera. You were testing with it. You got a little bit of positive feedback. Like you got the first few pictures came in, and you're like, okay, people are really starting to appreciate this creative thing I'm doing. At what point did the photos kind of start to transfer into these physical mediums that we see today? So, sculptures.
There's really like one moment, and it was there's a gentleman by the name of Jay that's here in Dallas, and he owns a few clubs and restaurants around here, and went to his house for an after party. He probably doesn't even know my name or remember my name, but he had like Salvador Dali, Banksy, Picasso, all this art just everywhere, all over his house, and things he had just bought that were just on the counter, halfway out of an envelope, but it's a $30,000 piece of paper,
like originals.
Yeah, just sitting right there.
I come party at my house, I have originals.
Yeah, and wow. I just thought it was the coolest thing, like just having art laying everywhere. And I was a realtor at the time here in Dallas, and I was like, okay, I want to collect. I want to start doing this, and this is the coolest thing. And went to try to collect. I was like, shit, I cannot afford anything. But I had all these old photographs and stuff. And in high school, we had to take one art class or something. I took a multimedia class, and so I learned Photoshop and all these things. And I was like, all right, let me take these old photos and see if I still remember. I ended up remembering Photoshop and how to use everything. Yeah. And then I started printing out my old photographs and then editing them and just printing them on canvas and hanging them in my room. And then I'm like, okay, that was fun. It was like, but no, I was like, okay, well now let's fuck them up a little bit more. It's like, so then I started painting, like, okay, I'm gonna put a couple drops here and there and there. And
give it some pizzazz.
And it was also at the very beginning of kind of Instagram, like 2013. And so then I was able to also find the artists that I like that were out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would like, okay, what's this little bottle in the corner that's in this picture? So then I would Google what that bottle is for, and then see what they used it for in their work, and then try to find out how to use it for myself and everything. So, but it was a lot of like self-teaching and
a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, do you have any like funny stories that stick out among the rest, kind of like going through this growth process of just trial and error, like messing stuff up, figuring out really cool tricks?
I mean, I'm sure there are.
Let's call it a favorite story.
Creating in general?
Sure. Something that I kind of wanted to tie to this episode is artistic rebellion, because you just strike me as a person that's, let's kind of question and defy the norms here and go combine all of our favorite inspirations from whatever those may be. Sounds like you got a lot of those maybe from Instagram artists that were riding that wave at the time, and physical ones. And then kind of taking it on to doing what you're doing now. Just maybe if there's a story that really sticks out to you, and maybe there's not. Maybe it's
I guess the one that sticks out really is just my first mural, and really signing up for something bigger than you may know how to do, but then figuring it out.
Oh yeah.
And so it was for 42 murals right here down the street in Deep Ellum, and a lady by the name of Leslie Marshall was outside painting her mural on Commerce Street, and I was just driving by on my friend's Ruckus, and it was like 4 months into me starting to painting, and I started talking with her, and we had some mutual friends, and she's like, yeah, we're still accepting applications and everything. So I came up with this idea for my first mural, and you got to pick the wall. I picked Main Street, of course, like the most prominent wall in the whole project that I thought. And at the time, the biggest thing I had created was 4 feet by 4 feet, and submitted this concept that was large and got picked for actually this is a good one, but the whole point of the concept, which I think was the beginning point of this whole interactive, like immersive kind of journey, was one, I didn't know if my art was good enough or not. So it's like, how do I make this concept better? So it was making the mural interactive. So I had a big crown. Basquiat, of course, was a big inspiration. So I had a big crown in the middle of that you could stand under, but then I also had like Marilyn Monroe with a crown, Bob Marley with a crown, Basquiat with a crown, Bob Marley, and one other person. It wasn't Willie Nelson. Somebody. And but it was interactive, so you could stand in front of it, take pictures. You're wearing a crown as well with these other greats. And it was more so it's just signing up for something bigger than you're kind of comfortable with doing. I show up to that wall with like a few cans of spray paint, and I'm like, fuck, I need a lift. I need like all this. I mean, took me a little while to do it.
Yeah.
But we got it done, and then everything else just kind of snowballed after that.
At that moment, did you kind of realize, like, this is how it works for me? I always agree to these sorts of things, knowing I can do it, but realizing I'm very in over my head. And whenever I have that feeling, I know I'm doing something right. Like, I don't know if I'm qualified to be doing what I'm doing right now, but I know I can get it done.
You know you can do it for sure. And then the process that you go through because now your name's on the line. Yep. Now you've probably accepted a deposit. You've probably done all these things. And you got other people depending on you. And so it's like, I'm not going to fail. I'm going to make this thing work.
Yeah.
And being in that situation and doing something creative is tough and stressful, and because you want the client, the person that's giving you the money, whoever, to be happy and satisfied with everything. So that adds a whole nother layer than just okay, I have this big wall at my house, I want to paint this.
Yeah.
Like, that exterior pressure helps a lot for the progress, I feel.
I think when I was talking to Paul Solfin last episode, we said comfort is the enemy of progress. So as long as you like get yourself out of that comfort state,
For sure.
you know, they light 100. The fire under your ass. You got to do it for your name now, and the only thing left to do is work. That's when the great stuff happens.
I mean, being comfortable is nice and great.
Yeah.
But I don't like it.
So, what inspires you the most in your creative process? Do you have a certain routine? Do you have a certain way to get into this mindset?
Like showing up to wall and actually painting. I mean, there's things, not necessarily specific things, just being comfortable and having overall just kind of peace of mind, like blocking everything else out, knowing that this is what you're going to do. You're going to do this kind of really helps a lot. Sometimes being rushed helps, but not trying to think like if I'm just showing up to paint, music always, something like if I'm painting like at XOXO, we were just jamming music and then all of a sudden I hear a quote. I'm like, all right, man,
nice.
Put the quote on the wall and everything. And with painting, I mean, you don't like it or whatever, you just paint over it.
Yeah.
And keep going. But you're able to have an idea, thought, and just, I like being in that moment and being able to create in that moment. Because you can always paint over whatever most of the time. But being in that moment is, sometimes it's a hard place to get to. But yeah, music, maybe a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
And
having confidence in your flow.
Yeah. Having a wall prepped correctly, like you don't want to have any thoughts like being worried that, oh, I'm going to get paint on this thing, I'm going to get paint on that. Yeah. You want to be able to just act and everything be set up nice and organized in my head. It may not be organized physically, but I know where everything is. But yeah, being able to think and react.
So you said music is sometimes a major player in the live inspiration of how you're going to paint a wall. So does it differ? Do the genres of music differ depending upon which place you're in?
They really do not. I listen all over.
Like if you're in a nightclub, are you playing more hip hop, electronic? And then if you're at a classy
I may be
place,
playing like John Prine, In Spite of Ourselves, or nice. It's really all over. I'll send you one of my playlists. You may like it.
All over the place.
All over the place.
Nice.
I like a lot
Skrillex
of
to Toby Keith.
Oh, yes. Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Definitely Skrillex for sure. Chasing Status a lot lately.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely killing the game right now. They're doing terrific. So what are some of the most important lessons you've kind of learned along the way of developing your brand, discovering kind of who you are as an artist, and then really pushing it out there to the world?
The one, finding your own style or thing, and kind of staying that, because one of the hardest things as an artist or creative is to find your own style or to find a name. Like the coolest thing that I hear when people come up is one thing, like a lot of these walls that I've painted in clubs and around the cities, I don't sign my name really big, or I don't. So a lot of that actual name, a lot of people don't exactly know who did that.
But they recognize it's the same artist.
And then when I hear people come like, oh, you, like, I realize that you did that.
Yeah.
Or
it all clicks one day.
Yeah. And then also not getting off on quick money. Like money will come, but still like staying true to yourself, like, and trusting the process.
And then maybe finding a way to innovate the essence of who you are to keep it a little bit new, but also maintain yourself.
Definitely. Always looking to expand my creative means in the way I create, adding a new material, just started working with screen printing. Like screen printing had always been something that I wanted to do and everything, but then I was wanting to also hand cut the stencils and do all this. But in the way that I make it, they call it, it's like the guy that I don't know if he created the way, but he's who I learned from. He called it like the poor man's stencil or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're like cutting it out of paper and then using some screen and everything. But
would you kind of describe yourself as maybe on the ADD spectrum a little bit? Like maybe
am I
me
jumping
a little
all
bit?
over?
No, but I do these things, and
Yeah.
you kind of mentioned you're gravitated to these certain artistic things. Hey, Ollie, come join us up here,
What up,
buddy.
dude?
Nope, you're not going to join us. You're going to stay down there. There we go. Now we got the dog. Now it's 2 guys and a dog on the couch again. Digressing. Yeah. Ollie, I forgot what I was talking about now. Let's see.
Was
What were we hitting on?
advice or
Man, probably.
moments?
Probably.
Maybe we're all ADD.
Oh, we were there. We were talking about ADD. That was exactly it. Oh, there's a dog, squirrel. So no, I wasn't calling you out. I was calling myself out. And I'm interested to see if there's these trends where most of these artists kind of are ADD. We feel these gravitational pulls towards things that like pique our curiosity, maybe our passion. So like for you said it was like the screen printing. Maybe 2 months later it's another thing that attracts your attention, and it keeps us kind of well grounded in between a bunch of different artistic methods. And I think it's between these specializations that we find our own niche in the middle.
Sure. And it's all that practice, and you got to figure out if something works or doesn't work kind of for yourself.
Yeah.
I know where it was going.
There you go. No, we're on par with exactly what we were talking about. So do you have any projects that we could kind of shine the spotlight on today? I have one in mind.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one is Gallery DeFi. That we have definitely been a process and everything, and but a great one. And we're about primed and ready to launch.
When are the gates opening?
Out of the fall this
Nice.
year.
Fall
Yeah.
2024. You heard it first.
Got the certificate of occupancy inspection this Friday.
Wow.
So once we do that, we'll build all the temporary walls kind of throughout and all those installations and have the artists come in and create. But in general, Gallery DeFi, for those that don't know or haven't heard, it's a ticketed immersive art gallery. And so
In Dallas, Texas.
over underneath the Belmont Hotel. So we got 17,000 square feet and over 40 artists from all different types of mediums, from fashion.
From all over the U.S., right?
Over the U.S., we've got...
Oh, you had some
abroad,
international.
we got international. Yeah. We've got a group from North Macedonia.
Wow.
London, Paris.
Not only will it be an exhibit, as well as it'll be immersive gallery, but you'll also be hosting some really awesome events there.
Yeah, we will do... depending on how the certificate of occupancy goes and our occupancy, but we'll be applying for the special use permit to be able to host some kind of larger events. But in the meantime, we will be doing, mentioned Chase and Status earlier, boiler room kind of
Let's go.
set. My installation is going to have a stage kind of built into it, but it will be, make it big enough for like kind of a boiler room, kind of set stage low.
Oh yeah.
With a couple people behind. But that would be the plan behind that, and nothing's solid yet, but something I will do. To do like high production kind of sets for people, but very exclusive, like
very 70, elegant,
70
creative.
to 100 people, but it's done
very curated.
In this place of art. And then that would just be for kind of marketing and maybe creating something bigger. But right now I'm just using it kind of for marketing.
I'm super excited for all these things. I've seen the space. You showed me the space years ago when it was
just
brand
the warehouse,
new.
yeah.
Warehouse with wires.
A brand old warehouse.
And now I toured it 2 weeks ago, I think, and it looks a total transformation. It looks amazing. I can see the vision now. I'm not as creative as you are, so when I first walked in there, I was like, "Are you about to string me up here and film here?"
I wanted to.
There we go.
But it's just under 17,000 square feet, and from fashion artists to street artists. We've got the godfather of graffiti, Risk Rock.
Love Risk.
He started painting in LA late 80s on the trains. he's the only artist to paint in Michelangelo's studio in 400 years. But now he graced the whole front of our building, did a 210-foot mural in the front, and then we've got a 73-foot mural on the inside that he did. So very large scale installations where you get the people in to come see the art, but then we also offer the actual original art pieces, collectibles, one-of-ones, clothing, things for all different price points.
Yeah. And I'm going to be uploading as many pictures to the video of this podcast as possible, because there's so many colorful things to share here.
We have tons. We have tons of great artists. One we talk about, first told them about Gallery DeFi in 2021, but by that, we've been able to build such a great lineup of artists of all different types of mediums, and artists from all different backgrounds as well.
Big name artists.
Yes.
Big name artists. I'm a music guy, and I hang out with music artists all the time, and I'm still fanboying over some of the artists that I've seen in your place. I'm like, oh.
It's going to be good. And we've still got a few that we're about to announce that we have not announced.
Nice.
Yeah.
Aha,
Yeah.
to be announced.
Yeah.
So, of course, the first point of this podcast is to inspire, right? And second is to teach. What kind of practical advice would you give to the aspiring creative, somebody that's doing their day-to-day and they have these ideas in their head, and you want to give them the courage to pursue these ideas, to realize this creative version of themselves? What kind of advice would you give them to get out there and do it?
For one, really create. You got to start creating, and got to start doing that. But then to get it out there, it's a hard process, a hard game, because when you're starting out, it's the coolest thing where somebody wants to put your work up for an event or just have it up maybe on consignment or something. And those are the things that you need to do at the beginning, and it's really just getting your work out there, and then feedback and everything is good. And then also the process that you go through by working and putting yourself out there, you figure out what you really want to do and don't want to do. Do I want to work at this or put my art up at this little festival that's at a beer brewery and go out there in the 110-degree heat, or does it make sense? But sometimes it does.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, and it's all, you want people to see your work and get it out there. Otherwise, nobody will know that it exists. And when you're out there at those places and on site, you're meeting people. You're meeting, and who knows who you will meet or what connection they will have, or even just through conversation, what idea they may give you that could move your art in one direction or help something out. Or you're like, no, I definitely don't want that idea. This guy's an idiot. But it still helps go through that process of figuring out what you want your art to be, where you want it to be. And
would you say it's like a 50-50 thing between kind of staying in, doing your research, and ideating, and then the other 50% really going out, putting yourself out there like you were talking about?
Idea, having your own style and concentrating on that is definitely one of the main things. But every artist takes from every other artist. It's a never-ending loop. And
inspiration.
Yeah, just creating and getting things out there and getting people to see them. I don't think you can go wrong. And you figure out oh shit, nobody likes this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I need to change this up a little bit, rather than you just being holed up in your house for a year, concentrating on this kind of one thing. But then also maybe it's fuck everybody else. This is still good
at some point,
and you keep doing it. It's just tough.
Yeah.
There's
don't be
so
afraid
many
to be bad.
Yeah.
You're going to be bad at first. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just saying, in painting, you can always paint over something. And it's also putting that, if you're painting for a client specifically, you can put that in their head at the beginning. Don't like it, we paint over it. It's all, even if it's a big deal to you, you'd still want them to kind of be comfortable.
Yeah. One of the analogies that one of my super talented music producer buddies told me a while back was he wasn't going to tell me that my music was terrible. Instead, he chose to say, you know, when you first hook up maybe a water faucet or something, and you finally you turn it on, you've done all the pipings, there's gonna be a lot of dirt that comes out at first, but over time that dirt becomes clearer, and then before you know it, it's just, you know, high quality water. So that's kind of how making music is. I'm sure it's the same way for just developing your art piece.
I have so many pieces in storage right now that are from the beginning that it would make perfect sense to paint over them, but I don't want to, because another thing is like being able to see that progression and like know like, oh, this painting is from back then, like when he just started. I don't know if they'll be worth anything or worth nothing, but it's still want to hold on to.
Do you have a vault of all of like Travis's early work?
I got a good amount, yeah.
Once it becomes limited and you're like, I retire, then the early works are gonna spike in value, right?
But yeah, things I've never posted, things nobody's seen, but yeah, you got to experiment.
Are there any tools or resources that people in the audience, our listeners, might try that you could recommend? Is there like a website where you get inspirations from, or any new maybe AI stuff? Or how do you feel about AI? That's a good question.
I use it some, like just help like kind of get ideas, or I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I feel like it's going to be a great tool for kind of everybody, and allow more people to kind of experiment and get their ideas out, and then that will spark something else. And because it's still an image or on the computer, and you still got to get it out and find ways to do that and create that.
We were in a studio session yesterday, and we had created this, you know, we had 3 people in the room, 4 including myself, kind of developing this artist's sound brand. Like, what do we want them to sound like? What essences do we want to pull from this and that? We ended up creating like a really cool drop that everybody was in tune with. And then somebody said, hey, let's like plug this into this new AI tool and just kind of see what it creates.
And you're like, son of a bitch, this is good.
It's great. The quality of it, the sound quality is really low. Yeah. Probably in the span of 6 months will be to where it spits out super high quality stuff, all in different tracks, so we can like manipulate, edit it from there. But it did give us a great point to go, hey, I like how the AI did this. Let's go back and recreate it ourselves and add it into what we have. So just kind of letting the AI do the brainstorming, I feel like that's a really good point to where the artist can then go back and recreate it themselves. And by recreating it themselves, obviously it's not going to turn out exactly this way. Yeah. It'll still have their touch to it, and you can kind of inspire new tangents of thoughts. For artists, it's probably going to be like through physical mediums or something, maybe a little bit different because it's not so digital with you.
Yeah, there's still, I mean, like some of these jobs people want like mock-ups and things, but that is all things that I've learned in Photoshop, just kind of from the past. But yeah, the ideation, I feel like, is kind of good. I'm trying to remember a recent project that I used it on, but I can't.
Oh yeah, you're golden. So is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience, maybe where our listeners can follow your journey on?
Well, you can definitely follow my journey on Instagram at not.travis, which I will start uploading things to here again soon. One
of the more colorful
it's probably been
Instagrams,
like
I might
3
add.
months since I posted or something.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
That means you've been grinding.
I'm grinding hard, man. Post all the time to my story of the projects and things. But yeah, now really going to have to start.
Yeah.
Which I've got tons of back catalog that I can post and will. And that's got this great lady that's helping us with the social media and everything, marketing with Gallery DeFi. I think we're going to Caroline, shout out Caroline. She's great.
Go Caroline.
Yeah. But I'm going to start plugging her into my stuff and see what she can do there. But,
amazing.
Because I like creating and being in the moment, and I'll post something random. I don't want to kind of think about, but maybe I'm not supposed to think about anything and just post that shit.
Yeah. it's good to have people helping you with the posting, because they say it's best to post between like 10 a.m. 2 p.m. every day, and that's when I should be doing other things that are far more creative than posting.
Yeah.
I'm always sitting down at like 11 p.m. like, oh, should I post something?
Yeah.
But it's not a good time. So
Anytime.
thank you to all the social media managers out there, by the way. We depend on you guys, and if anybody's looking for a career job sort of thing, we're always looking for more social media managers, editors. The future is going to be made of content, whether it's audio based, whether it's visual based. And this might be a great place to even just begin your career journey, because being a content creator, you have to be somewhat you have to know about all the Adobe suites, whether it's graphic design through Photoshop, maybe getting good at a little Illustrator. I'm sure you've kind of dabbled with a little bit of all of these things as well, Travis.
Yeah, and Illustrator. I'm getting into the screen printing, like sending things to a CNC machine. Like now I'm starting to learn Adobe, and it's a never-ending kind of thing.
That's me with I'm more sucked into, like, I have more fun with Premiere Pro these days, just doing visuals than almost I do making
I'm paying
music.
for it. I need to learn that too.
Yeah, that's $60 a month. Adobe, come sponsor people like us, and we'll keep talking about you, by the way. That's amazing. So, thank you so much for joining us today, kind of like telling us about your story, your inspirations, all the sauce about how you stay inspired as a creative. Kind of your mindset of taking these inspirations from outside sources to really develop what you want your personal touch on society to be. And might add that your personal touch can be seen all over the place. I'm only looking forward to where this is going to take you, because seeing you blow up over these past few years is incredible.
It's been fun, and with what I'm really looking forward to is with Gallery DeFi is it's like, I have my installation, but now it's really this whole thing is mine and a few other people's just kind of huge brain, like what we've been envisioning and thinking for the past 3 years. And it definitely takes a team, from the people working behind it to all the artists involved. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. Just the lineup, the names, I can see where it's going to go. And I'm glad I got you on the podcast before you got too big.
Yeah, never.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning into the podcast. Keep pursuing those creative dreams. Keep living beyond the norm, questioning how you can chase that little voice in your head that's telling you to be creative, because maybe you're meant for more. And until next time, I'm Brendan Bolt. This is Not Travis.
Not Travis. Thank you for having me, my man.
Absolutely, dog.